Go.
Alright, next round. Remember that everything is done from this side down. All pins go out that way and go back in this way. Biggest mistake is no hitting, no punching. First pin, this is your trigger housing pin. It's what locks it in place. You're going to push on it and just push him out. He's going to come out, small plastic. Then you have your trigger housing here, locks trigger bar in, and I'll show you those pieces. Comes right out, nice and easy. And you see my high-tech piece of wood. Now your third pin is where everybody makes their mistake. This locks everything in. Does not seem like it wants to go. The trick to that is to pull up on your slide lock lever and work it at an angle this way. As you pull up, put a little pressure out and then just work your pin out easily. Don't tap it. No matter what it wants to do, don't tap it. It should just slide right out, 3 pins. And then you're going to pull out carefully. You don't want to break this wire. That's the tension on it. Then we're going to pull lock and block mechanism up and out. That's your lock and block mechanism. Then your trigger assembly. Come from the back, pull up carefully and out. And you're done pretty much. Now your next takedown levers on either side. There's a very small little spring here. Be very careful. Put pressure on it and let this slide out this side. Just like I said, everything goes one way to the other. And notice, while you're at it, this has a notch on one side, flat on the other. The notch on this side always goes forward. And that spring, usually you use a pair of pliers and pull him out, but I don't really need to. Right in here, just put pressure down to push him back in. Come from this side, notch forward, line it up, push your spring down out of the way, push him across and he'll lock back in. Won't go to either side, either way. Locked in. Now the tricky one, and is really not that tricky, is once you learn the technique, it's kind of hard to see. So I'll come from.
Let me hold that.
Yeah, but I have to get at it. Gonna come right here. There's a metal spring locked in place. Right here, and you'll pull it to one side and out using a flathead screwdriver. Hold it tight.
I'm trying.
And it slides over, out. This screwdriver is actually too big. Come out. Come on, pain in the butt.
Here, you take that. Give me the light.
And you see it popped out right here. It's out of the way, so I'm simply going to push my magazine release over and out of the way. I can pull it out and put a new one in if I need to. And then replace it, simply push it back in. Take that spring, push them over and in. And it'll lock in just like that. Now it's locked in again. Do a check and it's locked. Frame is clear. Now your trigger bar and trigger assembly through here. And to get this out, you see this angle that's here? You're going to come up here and come up and out at the same time. And it's a little bit tricky. And you see your S spring, which is located right here. It has to go in exactly the way it came out. If not, it's going to lock up the trigger on you. Then you're going to have a pain in the butt cleaning it. So we'll disassemble here. We're going to pull our spring here, remember, lock straight down. And then you have your adjustable trigger bar. Different ones, different weights, different things. Each one is different. And it's actually determined by the amount of bend here. That's your 4 pound, 3.5 pound, 2.5 pound. Is how much pressure it exerts outward onto the trigger assembly. A good thing to do, polish it out. So and all that'll do is reduce the friction, and I'll show you the friction when it occurs. So we're going to come back in, and there's a guide right here where it sits in. You see the slot here, it lays right into it. Don't push the back, push the front. Push, and then you'll feel the amount of tension on it. Make sure you push in the front, not back here. Set. This is your ejector where the shell hits. Keep an eye on it. And if yours looks weird, funky, straight, maybe bent, may have a key, don't worry about it. Glock made different ones for different models. Now on here, nice and shiny, polish it all up, especially paying attention here on the inside and right across the top and across. And that's where it makes friction. This has friction on this bar. When it sits in, that's providing friction, so we want to smooth it out, make a little smoother trigger. You'll notice on your slide, your firing pin rides right across the top of this till it hits here and then drops. And this pulls back up, this pulls out of the way and drops across. So if we smooth it out, and he rides right on top of your safety plunger. If we smooth it out, it makes it a lot easier too. Not going to lower anything, it's not going to drop the weight, it simply makes it smoothed out. And if you notice, I have a titanium firing pin plunger, safety pin plunger, just because it lasts longer, is more durable, and a little bit slicker. And then nothing more. Really simple, really easy. Polish it up, smoother it is, the less friction, more comfortable. Takes the click out of it. And again, we're going to come back. Firing pin return spring. On a trigger kit, these are actually tighter and harder than the ones on a normal, so it snaps the trigger back to you faster. I'm going to go down into, make sure I'm connected. Then I'm going to come up into here from the side, catch it. Bring him back in, come down and out at this angle, put him back in. Check the feel. Feels good. Going to bring him, trigger first, then block, push everything in, make sure it's nice and seated. Lock and block. Slides right down into, right through here, slides right into place. Seated. Now this is where a lot of people mess up. They start sticking pins in. We're going to go back in, trigger block. That pin locks in, just push it until it is flat. And what it does is it goes in a hole through your trigger block and holds everything in place to keep this from moving. Then we're going to go with number 2 right across the top, and he's the thinner one. If you ever get confused, the thinner one, we're going to push him right on through. I'm going to push just till it snaps. Yeah, too far. And seated. You'll feel it seat because it's got a lock. Now here is a little different. You'll notice you got it several different slots, 1, 2, 3, 4, that sit right in above the trigger. He's going to slide in at this angle right here, because you need to get this spring up under that top pin you put in. So I'm going to slide him in at this angle, make sure he's seated by pulling up just a little bit, make sure there's spring tension, and there is. Then we're going to go with the third, and again you're going to have to kind of wiggle it, but see how easy that went in? Once you learn the technique, it's really easy. I push down on the end, pull up on the front, and it kind of levers it in, and it slides in, locks into place. Do your function check here. Function, good. Spring pressure. We'll reassemble. Barrel. Locks in. Guide rod. Locked in. Good. Line him up. Come back to here, then pull quick. Lock. And we're going to pull it up. And just simply pull back and make sure it goes back into battery. Back into battery. Check your slide lock lever. Lock him in place. Pull him back forward. Again, check here. Check again. Make sure you're not loaded. Here, pull the trigger. Make sure the slide doesn't move forward. You're engaged here, engaged, everything is good. And that is literally all there is to the Glock.